What if I told you that the secret to finding healthy love isn't about finding someone at all? What if the most attractive thing about you isn't your dating profile, but your ability to be genuinely happy by yourself? Today, we're talking about something that could literally save you from romance scams, toxic relationships, and years of heartbreak. I'm about to show you why being comfortable alone isn't just self-care. It's your superpower and your protection. Stick around because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn the skill that changes everything. Hey there, and welcome back to Hope Regained. I'm your host, Christiane Boudreau, and today we're diving into something that honestly should be taught in schools, but it isn't. How to be alone without being lonely, and why this skill might be the most important relationship advice you'll ever hear. Last week, I read another story about a woman back home, local, who'd been scammed out of over $300,000. That hit home because it was so close. It was right there in the open. And we hear about these stories more than we should. But at the same time, statistics show that most scams are not reported because people feel ashamed and embarrassed. And then somebody else I knew went back to a relationship that really is emotionally depleting. It hurt me because they deserve so much more in their life, but they were accepting this toxicity. I know that they could do so much better. This got me thinking about something we don't talk about enough. How many bad decisions we make when we're running from loneliness instead of running toward genuine connection. Here's the thing. We're living through what experts are calling a loneliness epidemic, and we're seeing even more of it since COVID. We all were stuck alone and behind computer screens during that time. Some of us were making our living that way still. But there's a crucial difference between being alone and being lonely. And understanding that difference can literally change your life. Being alone is a circumstance. Being lonely is a feeling. And here's what's wild. You can be surrounded by people or in a relationship and still feel desperately lonely, maybe even more lonely than when you're alone. Or you can be completely by yourself and feel totally at peace. Loneliness isn't cured by finding someone. It's cured by finding yourself comfortable in your own company. That's what I like to say. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about this on a show about personal growth. But here's why. When we're uncomfortable being alone, we become vulnerable to people who prey on that discomfort. Romance scammers. They're not looking for the happiest, most self-assured people. Of course not. They're looking for people who are desperate for connection. Abusive partners, same thing. They can smell desperation from a mile away, and they use it against us. When you're genuinely comfortable being alone, something magical happens. You stop settling. You stop ignoring red flags because you're afraid of being by yourself. You start making decisions from a place of strength instead of fear. And we've talked about it before, how powerful fear can be. There's a difference between being lonely and alone, and I'm going to give you two examples. Example one, it's Friday night. You're home alone. You're scrolling through your social media, seeing everyone else having fun. You think about texting your ex or swiping through dating apps, hoping someone, anyone will give you attention. You're physically alone, but emotionally desperate for connection. This is loneliness. Example number 2 is it's Friday night. You're home alone, but you've got a good book, your favorite takeout, and you're genuinely excited about this time with yourself. Maybe you're working on a hobby or taking a hot bubble bath or just enjoying the peace. You're physically alone, but emotionally fulfilled. This is solitude. The difference is in example 1, you're running away from yourself. And example number 2, you're running towards yourself. Now, let's get into the practical steps. I'm going to give you a framework of 5 steps that I've seen work time and time again with several people already, including myself, who thought they'd never be comfortable alone. Step number 1 is start small. The 5-minute foundation. If you're someone who can't handle 5 minutes alone without reaching for your phone, you're going to start there. So here's what most people get wrong. They think it's about willpower. It's not. It's about curiosity. Try sitting in silence for 5 minutes. Just 5, nothing more. You can even set a timer for yourself if you like. But here's the key. Approach it like a scientist studying a fascinating subject. Yourself. Notice what comes up. What feelings do you feel? Do you feel anxiety, restlessness, perhaps? Physical sensations. What are you feeling in your gut? Are you starting to kind of wiggle around, stamp your foot? Thoughts about tomorrow's meeting or something, racing thoughts that start coming in all at once. Or a little voice inside you that's telling you, this is stupid. Don't judge any of it. Just observe it like you're taking notes. What you're doing is building what I call emotional tolerance. Your ability to be with difficult feelings, sitting in it, with them immediately running away from them. And here's why this matters. This matters to protect you from scammers, from toxic relationships, because these people count on you being so uncomfortable with difficult emotions that you'll do anything to avoid them. When you can sit with anxiety or loneliness without panicking, you can make better decisions. So set that timer, like I said. Don't check the clock. Don't look. And when that timer goes off, notice, do you feel disappointed that the time is over? Or do you feel relieved? Both of these feelings are absolutely normal. But that information is telling you something about your current comfort level. Step number 2 is about creating solo rituals. And it's what I call the intention factor. I always say living with intention is very important. And this is one of the reasons why. This is where we move from surviving alone and to actually enjoying that alone time. The difference between loneliness and solitude often comes down to one word: intention. Loneliness is what happens when you're alone by accident and plans get canceled or friends are busy. You're just stuck. Solitude is what happens when you choose to be alone because you genuinely want that time by yourself. Start with what I call micro rituals. Maybe it's a solo coffee date every Sunday morning where you bring a journal and you actually take the time to write in it. Maybe it's a weekly walk in nature without music or podcasts or any of that outside noise. Just you and your thoughts. The key is making it intentional, not just something that happens to you. But here's the crucial part. Make it special. Use your good dishes for a solo dinner. Even light a candle for a little of that personal romance with yourself. Dress in something that makes you feel good about yourself. Why? Because you're sending subliminal messages to you and your subconscious to say that your own company is worthy of celebrating. I love putting on my dance music and cooking a gourmet meal in the kitchen for myself, dancing around, a kick here, spin there, and sitting down and enjoying it and appreciating it with a glass of good wine. Sometimes I even put on a movie that I've been wanting to watch, really enjoying that alone time, taking that deep breath and feeling, the noise is gone for the day and I'm worthy of this attention that I'm giving myself. Step number 3 is develop your inner world, the richness factor. Here's something really fascinating with people who are comfortable alone. They usually have what psychologists call a rich inner life. That doesn't mean that you're introverted, because I can tell you I'm definitely not. I'm an extrovert. And it doesn't mean that you're antisocial. I still love to socialize. It just means that you have hobbies or you engage in things that you enjoy on your own. You have thoughts that interest yourself and dreams that excite you. Think about it. If your inner world is boring, then of course you're going to be desperate for external stimulation or things to fill that void, that validation. This is when you're most likely to find that outside distraction to fill your inner void. So we're going to fix that. Start by asking yourself, what did you love to do before life got so busy and in the way? What subjects fascinate you? What would you learn or do or participate in if time and money weren't a factor? Really think about those things. Then, and this is really important, start small, but consistently. Maybe it's learning a new language for 15 minutes a day. I know it's something I enjoy and need to block out all the other outside distractions. Maybe it's starting that novel you've been thinking about for years. Maybe it's learning to paint or taking up woodworking or studying astronomy. It can be anything. The magic happens when you start having thoughts and experiences that are entirely your own. You develop opinions, insights, interests that don't depend on other people's approval or participation. You can do it alone. You don't need to send out an invite. Here's why this protects you, though. When someone tries to love bomb you with excessive attention, it feels overwhelming, yucky, rather than filling a void. When you have your own rich inner life, you can tell the difference. You can see if it's genuine interest that someone's paying with you or if it's manipulation. And that is really, truly important. Step number 4, the emotional regulation component. And we've talked about emotional intelligence, and we're going to be going into depth, much more depth with emotional resilience next episode. And this is really important. Here's a step that most people skip, but it's crucial. Learning to regulate your emotions without external validation. When you feel sad, anxious, or lonely, what's your immediate impulse? What do you feel like you need to do right away? For most people, it's reach out to someone, anyone, just for that reassurance or comfort. But what happens when you're alone at 2 a.m. and feeling terrible? What happens when the people you usually call aren't available? This is where scammers and misintentioned people can swoop in. because they're going to make sure that they're always available. They're always ready with exactly what you want to hear. So we're going to practice emotional self-soothing. This is on you to take care of, not anybody else. It might sound like a basic skill, but I want you to create what I call your emotional toolkit. These are specific strategies you can use when difficult feelings come up. Deep breathing techniques. And I talk about this a lot with meditation and that mindfulness, same sort of idea. But you have to find something that's actually going to work for you. For me, I find on YouTube there are plenty of even 10-minute guided meditations that can help recenter me. So just breathing and sitting with yourself in that moment and finding that peace and calm. You can find your favorite. Then there's physical movement, and that can shift your thoughts as well. I like dancing, or here's one, cleaning the house. That works for me. But for somebody else, it could be a matter of taking a walk or stretching. Just having that extra physical movement actually impacts your brain and shifts it. Comfort activities that don't include other people. Maybe that's a hot bath, hot bubble bath, or a cup of tea that you could just sit with, a book, some soft music, anything along those lines that really don't include others. And then journaling prompts that help you process your feelings so that you can work through it, understand what you're feeling, and allow yourself to feel them and work through it on your own. Practice these things when you're feeling good, because that way, when you need them, they're available when you're not feeling so great. And step number 5, I say, is the reality check system. In order to build this, it's a set of questions, I think, and practices that help you stay grounded in truth, especially when your emotions are running high. Because here's what happens. When you're lonely or desperate, we start making up stories. We start seeing what we want to see rather than what's actually there. So in order to do this, sometimes it's a variety of things that it can include. But one of them can be a trusted friend that is your inner voice of reason. You let them know that when you need to check in, they're the one that you're going to go to, and they're going to be truthful with you. A list of questions to ask yourself, maybe, about making any big emotional or financial decisions. Things that you can walk through those steps before putting that final decision in place, just to rethink and give you that pause. There's also a 48-hour rule for any decision involving love, money, relationships, anything major. It allows you to pull back from the emotion and let the logic come in as well and balance that out. And regular check-ins with yourself about whether your needs are being met in healthy ways. That means looking at your boundaries and saying, in this relationship, is it healthy? Is it meeting my needs? Or is it a one-way street? Really dig deep down and be honest. The goal at the end of this is not to be suspicious of everyone around you, but to maintain clear thinking, even when those emotions are really intense. So there are benefits for this, because for healthy relationships, in order to attract them, you have to be healthy with yourself first. That relationship with yourself has to be number one first. When you're comfortable being alone, you become more attractive to healthy people. It's simple. Why, you ask? Because you're not needy. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone to complement you. And that means friendships as well, not just love relationships. And when you do meet someone, you can see them clearly. You're not projecting loneliness or desperation, and you're not ignoring any of the red flags that are right there in front of you. Because when you're terrified of being alone, that gets pushed aside. This way you can take your time, ask the right questions, and make decisions with a clear headspace. We really need to get real about this. Romance scammers and emotional manipulators have playbooks, and they all start the same way. They identify people who are desperately lonely. The love bombing phase, that intense, too good to be true feeling, well, guess what? That doesn't work on people who are genuinely comfortable alone. Because when you're happy with yourself, that excessive attention from a stranger actually really feels weird. You don't want it. It's uncomfortable. And the isolation tactics, when they try to separate you from your friends or family, that doesn't work on people who have learned to be happy in their own solitude. There's a huge difference between chosen solitude and forced isolation. Desperation is a predator's favorite perfume, but self-contentment is the best repellent. Just remember that one. So I'm going to give you some practical exercises to try this week. First off, the phone-free hour. And this one's big because we've talked about it before, about shutting it off in the morning, shutting it off an hour before going to bed. So this is a good time to practice it. But you can pick that time. It can be a different time. When you're alone, no devices, just you and your thoughts. Solo adventure. And these I've actually come to enjoy and really love. But a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. So do something alone that you normally do with others. Go to a movie, try a new restaurant, do a day trip. I've even done full-on trips for a few days, hop on a plane by myself. I'm known to do it. It's a good time to get to know you and what you enjoy, and to be comfortable in your own space and your own company. The mirror exercise. This is where you spend 5 minutes of your day. And again, I think I've mentioned before that morning is a great time to start for that positivity mindset, that mind shift, getting ready for your day, where you look at yourself in the mirror and you be kind and encouraging and positive and complimentary to yourself. I know it sounds cheesy, right? But it works. It's uncomfortable the first few times you try it, but give it a shot. Because once you get used to it, it actually lifts you up and makes you more comfortable with you. Remember, you're becoming your own best friend. And then a gratitude inventory. This is where you write down 10 things that you really enjoy or appreciate about your life right now. That way, you can say, this is what I depend on for me without relying on other people. So a lot of people have fears that go along with some of this. And I know one people say is, what if I get too comfortable on my own and I never want to be in a relationship again? Well, that rarely happens. What usually happens is you become much more selective, which is a good thing. You don't settle for second best. You only allow those relationships in that matter, that will make a positive difference in your life. Another question I get is, isn't it selfish wanting to be alone? No, not at all. It's about being a balance. And when you enjoy that alone time, you end up having so much more to give to those relationships that count in your life. What if people think I'm weird for doing things alone? I've heard that one too. And in all honesty, if somebody thinks I'm weird, that's okay. I'm comfortable with it. But anyone who judges you for being comfortable in your own skin is probably struggling with their own relationships in solitude. That's their issue, not yours. And you should probably be sharing this video with them to help them learn. Here's what nobody tells you about being comfortable alone. It's incredibly freeing. You feel so much better. You feel so much more at peace inside. And you stop making decisions based on what everybody else wants. You stop staying in situations that aren't serving you or aren't healthy for you because you're afraid of being alone. You're coming at it from a place of happiness and positivity instead of negativity and fear. You start living your actual life instead of the life you think that will keep people around you. And that won't necessarily keep you happy. I'm not saying that relationships aren't important. In fact, the relationships I have in my life are so meaningful, and I'm so grateful for them. The people that I have in my life are incredible, and I'm so lucky. I know everybody says it's also about quality rather than quantity, but I'm fortunate to have both. Human connection is beautiful, and it's something that we all need. It's a need. But that quality of relationship is directly related to the quality of the relationship that you have with yourself. You attract what you project. So if you have a healthy relationship with yourself, then you're inviting healthy relationships back into you. You don't settle for just crumbs of affection and attention. And you don't ignore red flags anymore. You don't send money to strangers on the internet because you're so desperate to believe someone cares. You become a person that attracts healthy love. Why? Because you're already giving it to yourself. The person who can't be alone will accept anyone's company. And the person who enjoys being alone will only accept the right company. So just remember that. I've created a worksheet to go along with this episode. It's called Your Solitude Strength Assessment. And it's going to help you figure out where you are right now and where you want to be. You can grab that at www.hoperegained.com on our episodes page under this episode. And start with just one thing this week. Baby steps. I always tell you baby steps. And that's how I work best. Pick one exercise and one small step towards being comfortable in your own space on your own. You're amazing and you're worth it. And remember, learning to be alone isn't about giving up on love or anything like that. It's about making sure that when love shows up, you're ready for the real thing. Again, you are so worth it. And if you know someone who could use this help, please share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything new coming up. Thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I'll catch you next week.